Today we're counting down 30 crucial grocery products you should stockpile before the end of April 2025. Having a well-stocked pantry can provide peace of mind and security, especially during uncertain times. From non-perishable foods to versatile ingredients, we'll cover everything you need to build a reliable food reserve for your household. Whether you're preparing for potential supply chain disruptions, natural disasters, or simply want to save money by buying smart, these items are must-haves for your preparedness strategy. Stick around until the end of the video, as we'll also share some bonus tips on proper storage techniques to keep your groceries fresh for as long as possible. Hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss more handy videos like this one. Now, let's get started. 1. White rice. White rice isn't just a staple, it's a survival currency. This one food can stretch meals, fill empty stomachs, and even save lives in times of crisis. Here's what should make your blood run cold about rice right now. Global supplies are under siege, climate change is wreaking havoc on rice crops, and more countries are slamming the brakes on exports because they need to secure their own people. Think about it. If India or Southeast Asia, countries that dominate rice production, tighten their grip on supply because of natural disasters, political turmoil, or outright rationing, the West won't just feel it, we'll suffer from it. The world has become too dependent on imported rice, and when something goes wrong, there's nowhere else to turn. What really chills me is how simple the solution is. In theory, stockpiling white rice now, in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, can give you a fighting chance. Properly stored, it lasts over 30 years. 30 years! That's longer than most canned goods or freeze-dried foods. It's cheap, versatile, and endlessly filling. Even a few 20-pound bags could make a difference between going to bed hungry or surviving another day when the system collapses. But once the panic buying starts, rice will vanish from the shelves in hours. Take my advice. Start now. Your future self will thank you when the chaos begins, and your family isn't staring at empty bowls during dinner. 2. Dried beans and lentils. If the rice has you scared, think about what you're going to pair it with. Dried beans and lentils are the protein powerhouses that could save your body when everything else is too expensive or impossible to find. And here's the blunt truth most people don't want to acknowledge. Plant-based protein is the future of survival because meat is becoming unattainable. The grocery store right now might seem abundant with meats, but look closer. Prices are creeping higher with each passing month. Fuel shortages and animal feed costs are driving many farmers out of business. Meanwhile, beans and lentils remain a fraction of the price, with nutrients that can rival any steak or roast when it comes to survival essentials. But here's the risk you're facing if you don't prepare now. The supply of beans and lentils is not infinite, and the demand is growing because they're affordable alternatives to meat. Once people panic, this poor man's protein will fly off the shelves faster than you can imagine. I've got bags of black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, and lentils tucked away in sealed containers in a cool, dry place. Why? Because dried beans don't just feed you, they fill you with hope. When combined with rice, they form a complete protein, giving your body everything it needs to keep working, even when the world is falling apart outside. These can easily last 5 years or more if stored properly, which is just enough time to ride out the worst of whatever is coming. But if you think you'll wait until prices shoot up or supplies dwindle, you're gambling with your future. Beans and lentils are cheap and plentiful now. Stock up before they become a luxury. 3. Canned beans and legumes. Here's something most people overlook in their panic when things go south. What happens if there's no power to cook your dried beans? What if you don't have the energy, infrastructure, or even resources to boil water because your electricity was knocked out in a storm or fuel is too expensive to buy? That's when canned beans and legumes become a survivalist's best friend. Unlike their dried counterparts, canned beans are ready to eat. Crack open the lid and you've got instant nourishment, no heat required. Imagine the relief of knowing you can put calories into your system even if the world has gone dark, or you're stuck in a shelter with no kitchen. Here's the thing, though. Canned goods are already feeling the crunch. Tin shortages and rising production costs are making them pricier, and some brands are cutting corners on quality to maintain their margins. The writing's on the wall. If you don't act now, the affordability and availability of canned beans will only get worse. Their shelf life typically ranges from 2 to 5 years, but forget about the best by date. Most canned beans will last far beyond that if stored in a cool, dry place. Remember, these cans could mean the difference between starving during a blackout or making it one more day. The peace of mind they provide is priceless. Stock more than you think you'll need, because when the canned goods start vanishing from store shelves, The empty space they leave behind will give you nightmares. 4. Pasta. You don't have to be Italian to appreciate what pasta brings to the survival table. It's cheap, filling, and soul-soothing. During disasters or a financial meltdown, pasta turns into a beacon of normalcy. But don't be deceived by the abundance of boxed options on shelves today. All it takes is another wheat crisis, and those shelves will look barren faster than you can say spaghetti. Remember the headlines in 2022 and 2023 about wheat shortages caused by war, droughts, and supply chain disruptions? The prices of pasta skyrocketed in some parts of the world, and that was just the beginning. Governments have already started hoarding basic grains like wheat for their own reserves. Do you really think you'll be prioritized? Spoiler alert, you won't. That's why it's time to grab all the pasta you can and do it now. Properly stored in airtight bags or containers, pasta can last well beyond its printed expiration date, giving you a cheap source of carbohydrates for years. Pair it with canned tomato sauce, or keep it simple with butter and salt if supplies run low. Its versatility alone is a reason to stock up. Hard times are coming, and those comfort bowls of spaghetti, they'll feel like a luxury when hunger is the alternative. Don't leave this up to chance. Fill your pantry now before pasta turns into a memory of easier days. 5. Canned vegetables. You might think you can rely on fresh produce. A stroll through the grocery store right now may show piles of vibrant fruits and vegetables, but don't be fooled by what you see. These bright displays hinge on a fragile system. A single storm, an escalation in fertilizer prices, or a border delay could wipe it all out, leaving nothing but withered hope behind. Canned vegetables are your fail-safe backup for nutrition when fresh produce becomes too expensive or outright unavailable. Canned corn, green beans, carrots, peas, and even spinach offer long-lasting ways to keep your body fueled. In a crisis, these cans could become luxury items, not just survival food. Stored properly, canned vegetables stay shelf-stable for 2 to 3 years, sometimes longer. They're packed with the nutrients you'll need when diets become monotonous or limited. Imagine narrowly scraping by, relying solely on rice and beans. That variety of flavor and burst of vitamins from a can of vegetables could be all the difference in keeping your spirits high and your health intact. The writing is on the wall, though. Farmers are scaling back, prices are creeping upward, and in some areas, supply issues have already begun. The reality is shocking when you really think about how reliant we all are on a food system that crumbles under stress. Canned vegetables are readily available now, but mark my words, as we move closer to chaos, they'll be out of reach for most. 6. Canned fruits. You don't know just how much you'll miss the sweetness of a peach or the freshness of tart pineapple until they're gone. Think about what happens in a crisis. The produce aisles empty out first. The fresh bounty we all take for granted vanishes almost instantly, leaving you without a taste of anything real for months, maybe even years. No fruit, no vitamin C, just gray That's where canned fruits come in. They're your lifeline when fresh produce becomes a pipe dream. Peaches, pears, pineapples, mandarin oranges, even fruit cocktail. They'll be your only tie to sweetness and something resembling normal. Not only do they pack a flavorful boost, but they're also brimming with vitamin C, the key nutrient to keep scurvy's gnarled claws at bay when fresh food is extinct in your diet. But here's the catch. Canned fruits don't last forever. Most have a shelf life of 1 to 2 years, maybe longer if stored properly. And when a shipment delay or agricultural collapse hits, these sweet luxuries will be swept off store shelves faster than you can count to 10. I've already started hunting for dent-free cans to add to my growing stockpile. I suggest you do the same. When others are gnawing at scraps or worse, nothing at all, you'll be savoring a spoonful of syrupy salvation, and it could mean everything for your sanity. 7 canned meats, tuna, chicken, spam, etc. Protein is survival. Your body breaks down without it. But in a world where refrigeration might be gone, where fresh meat is either unattainable or reserved for the rich and privileged, where are you going to find it? Fresh chicken? Gone. Ground beef? A joke. Even eggs might be out of reach. That's the grim road ahead. This is why I'm stockpiling every canned protein I can get my hands on. Tuna, chicken, spam, corned beef, even sardines. They're the key to long-term survival. Not only do they provide the protein your muscles and mind need to keep functioning during extended crises, but they also don't require refrigeration. That's critical. When the power grid falters or fuel shortages leave refrigerators useless, these cans will keep your family alive. Canned meats last far longer than most people realize, with a typical shelf life of 3 to 5+ years. Proper storage in a cool, dry place will stretch their usefulness even further. But don't wait. Meat production is already straining under supply chain breakdowns, feed costs, and diseases like avian flu ripping through livestock. Don't count on being able to grab these in a rush. The second panic buying sets in, those cans will be history and you'll be left scrambling for overpriced scraps. I can't emphasize this enough. Stock up on variety. Tuna might be palatable at first, but trust me, after a month straight, even the sight of it will make you queasy. Having chicken, Spam, and other options will keep things tolerable when food is the one thing you can't afford to waste. 8. Peanut butter and nut butters. Peanut butter is more than just spreadable luxury. It's a calorie-packed survival champion. Think about everything it brings to the table. High calorie, rich in protein, loaded with healthy fats. It sticks to your ribs, keeps your energy up, and doesn't require refrigeration after opening. What more could you ask for? But here's the scary truth about nuts and nut products. They're becoming scarcer every year. Droughts, pest infestations, and reduced farming acreage are making nuts less available and far more expensive. Commercial brands of peanut butter and almond butter sit on grocery store shelves right now, looking seemingly abundant, but that illusion won't last. Once the crisis hits, something as simple as peanut butter will turn into a rare commodity. Imagine the panic of people buying every ounce of it to secure calories for their family. Expect rationing, expect price gouging, expect empty aisles. I've been storing jars of peanut butter in a cool, dark part of my pantry because it's one of those foods that can dramatically stretch a survival diet. Smear it on a cracker or bread from your baking supply stockpile. Use it to add calories to oatmeal, or even just eat it by the spoonful when you're desperate. Trust me when I say that this childhood comfort food could become your lifesaver. Start looking at it as a survival tool, not just a snack. 9. Flour and baking essentials. Bread is the staff of life. When you're staring down hunger, there's something deeply primal about breaking bread, even if it's bread you had to bake yourself. Flour, and the tools to turn it into food, yeast, baking powder, salt, are non-negotiable as we head toward uncertain times. And yet, most people don't even think to stock up on something this essential. How blind can they be? The warning signs are already here. Wheat supplies are under strain worldwide because of global instability, climate chaos, and escalating wars. Just look at how erratic flour prices have been these past few years. It's only going to get worse. If they're rationing wheat by 2025, don't say you weren't warned. White flour, when stored properly, can last over a year. Add yeast and baking powder to that stockpile for flexibility. When fresh bread vanishes from store shelves or becomes unaffordable, you'll still have the supplies to keep your household fed. And don't undervalue what the simple act of baking does for morale. When the world outside feels impossible, the smell of fresh bread can ground you in a small sense of normalcy. That is survival too. 10. Sugar. At first glance, sugar seems like a luxury item in a survival stockpile. But look closer and you'll see its indispensable role. Sugar isn't just a sweetener, it's a source of quick energy, a morale booster, and even a critical ingredient for food preservation, like canning and fermenting. The good news? White sugar, when stored in a cool, dry place, has an indefinite shelf life. But that doesn't mean you can afford to delay. Sugar is becoming a sticking point in global food supply chains. Look at the cost of sugar today compared to a decade ago. Rising prices, droughts in sugarcane-growing regions, and export bans are all making it harder to source. When the panic shopping begins, sugar will disappear just as quickly as salt. Without sugar in your arsenal, you'll be missing out on crucial energy when calories are scarce. Worse still, you lose an invaluable tool for stretching and preserving other foods. Imagine having fruits for canning, but no sugar to preserve them. Imagine sitting in the heart of chaos and longing for the simple comfort of sweetness. Stock up while you can. 11. Salt. Most people don't realize how essential salt is until they're forced to live without it. It's a humble, cheap commodity now, but in a crisis, salt is priceless. Humans need it to survive. Our bodies rely on salt for electrolyte balance, hydration, and overall health. Without enough salt, you won't just feel hungry or tired. Your body will start to shut down. But the real power of salt is in its versatility. With no refrigeration, salt becomes vital for preserving food. Meat and fish can be cured to last far longer than they would otherwise, giving you a way to stretch dwindling supplies when fresh food is out of reach. Have you thought about that? What happens when your last pound of chicken starts turning rancid because the power's out? Without salt, you lose more than just flavor, you lose safety. The beauty of salt is that it lasts forever when stored correctly. I'm stocking up on iodized salt for health, kosher salt for cooking, and rock salt for bulk needs like curing and preservation. Whatever you choose, get as much as you can, because when the world starts running out of salt, it's not just seasons and soups that will suffer, it's lives. 12% cooking oil and fats. Calories are everything in survival. Forget the fad diets. When the food runs out and the panic spreads, you'll need high-calorie sources just to keep moving, thinking, and surviving. That's why cooking oils and fats should terrify you. People overlook them because they're used to having them around. But these are some of the first products to disappear in a crisis. Think about it. Without oil, how will you fry, sauté, or bake anything? How will you get the vital calories your body needs to power through long days of hard labor or stress? It's not just about cooking. It's about sustaining yourself when meals get smaller and supplies run out. But the clock is ticking on oils. Vegetable oil, canola, and sunflower oil have shelf lives of just over a year. Olive oil lasts around 1 to 2 years if stored in a cool, dark place. Shortening and coconut oil last longer, making them invaluable for stockpiling. But here's the kicker. Not a single one of these products is immune to shortages. Crop failures, rising transportation costs, and hoarding will wipe them off shelves faster than you think when panic buying begins. The bottles in your pantry won't be enough. I've already started stashing backup supplies in airtight containers away from light and heat. Don't wait until you're standing in a grocery aisle staring at empty shelves, wondering how you missed the warning signs. Worst case, you'll have extra cooking oil on hand. Best case, you'll have life-sustaining calories when the world goes dark. 13. Powdered milk and dairy alternatives. Milk. It's one of those things you'd probably miss most if your supply chain broke down tomorrow. Your morning coffee, baking essentials, even the simple taste of creaminess could all become distant memories if you don't act now. And here's the terrifying reality. Fresh dairy relies entirely on systems that cannot withstand the strain we're about to face in the coming years. Grocery store shelves will go dry, shipments will stop, and those cartons of milk you took for granted will be gone. Enter powdered milk and dairy alternatives, the saviors of fortified nutrition. Powdered milk can last anywhere from 2 to 10 years, depending on how it's stored, offering a critical source of calcium, protein, and vitamins when fresh dairy is out of reach. For even more flexibility, stock up on evaporated milk. 1 to 2 years shelf life, and sweetened condensed milk, which can last for years if unopened. Even plant-based options, like cartons of almond or oat milk, can be a temporary fix with a shorter shelf life. I can't overstate the importance of dairy in your stockpile. Calcium is essential for bone strength, and protein keeps your muscles from wasting away under stress. I've been slowly building a stash of powdered milk in sealed, oxygen-free bags, and so should you. There's no excuse to wait. When the cold reality hits and people are forced to do without, you'll be glad you planned ahead. 14 master recipes and egg alternatives. Here's a horrifying thought for you. What happens when eggs, nature's perfect protein, are gone? No fresh scrambled eggs. No baking. No easy addition of protein to your meals. If that doesn't scare you, you're not seeing the bigger picture. Chickens aren't magic, and when feed prices soar, bird flu decimates flocks, or farms scale back operations, the egg supply shatters. We've already seen eggs become scarce and outrageously expensive in recent years. Imagine what happens when they disappear entirely. That's why powdered eggs and egg alternatives aren't just smart to have, they're critical. Powdered eggs can last 5 to 10 years when stored properly, and they're every bit as versatile as their fresh counterpart. You can add them to baking recipes, whisk them into omelets, or use them in countless survival meals. Egg replacer products are also worth considering for their long shelf lives and reliability in cooking. I've already made powdered eggs a permanent part of my emergency stockpile. Look, these aren't luxury items. They're survival necessities, and the window to grab them is shrinking. Don't wait until it's too late, or you'll be staring down a future of eggless meals and diminished nutrition when your family needs it most. 15. Natural honey. If there's one item on this list that feels almost magical, it's honey. Natural, pure, indestructible. Unlike almost every other food, honey has an indefinite shelf life. I mean, it can literally last forever if stored correctly. Ancient jars found thousands of years later were still edible. Think about what that means. Honey is more than food. It's a lifeline that survives through the ages. But honey's purpose goes far beyond its sweet taste. It's an energy source in its purest form, packed with calories ready to give you the boost you need when times are hard. Beyond that, honey is a natural remedy, soothing coughs, healing wounds with its antiseptic properties, and even fighting infections in survival situations. If you think sugar is a luxury in survival, honey is its untouchable king. You can feel the world shifting already, can't you? Bee populations declining, climate instability making honey production less reliable. It's only a matter of time before honey becomes harder to come by. I'm stocking up on raw honey and vacuum sealing it to keep it safe. When the panic spreads and honey's natural powers become widely valued, its price will skyrocket. You'll wish you had acted sooner. 16. Oats and oatmeal. Oats aren't just breakfast food. They're one of the most inexpensive and versatile survival staples you can get right now. But the real beauty of oats? They're filling, nutrient-packed, and can be stored for years if handled the right way. When you're staring down scarcity, a bowl of oatmeal can mean the difference between walking the fine line of survival or collapsing under its weight. Oats are rich in fiber, which keeps your digestion running smoothly even when your diet has gone from fresh produce to stored staples. They double as a decent source of protein too, which is critical when meat becomes a luxury item rather than an everyday option. But what hit me hardest as I started stockpiling oats is how cheap they still are. For now. Do you know how rare it is to find a survival food this good, at a price that won't leave your wallet gasping for air? I've been packing mine away in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. The bags protect them from bugs, humidity, and the ravages of time. Properly sealed, oats can last for years. But here's the thing. Grain prices have been climbing steadily, and oats are no exception. What's $3.00 a bag today could be $10.00 tomorrow if you can even find it. The time to act isn't soon, it's now. 17. Cornmeal and other grains. If you're only thinking about wheat and rice when it comes to grains, you're leaving yourself exposed. Wheat shortages have become all too frequent headlines, and rice isn't as secure as it once was. Diversification isn't just smart, it's necessary. That's why cornmeal and other grains like barley, quinoa, bulgur, and millet have found their way into my growing stockpile. Think about what grains offer during times of upheaval. Cornmeal can be turned into cornbread, polenta, and even makeshift flatbreads, giving you the strength and calories you need to keep going. Barley adds heft to soups and stews, while quinoa delivers a protein-packed punch. They're not just staples, they're lifelines when pantry options run thin. But these grains come with their own ticking clock. Climate change is already throwing crop yields into chaos, while supply chain problems are making it harder to move good quality grains across borders. What's worse, grains are bulkier and harder for grocers to stockpile, which means shortages hit faster and harder. I don't plan on being caught off guard. I've vacuum sealed my grains into airtight containers, tucked away in a cool, dark space, out of the reach of moisture, and every bag of cornmeal or box of barley I add to my reserves is another layer of safety. What about you? Are you ready? Or are you gambling with your future? 18. Canned soups and stews. When the lights go out or food becomes too scarce to prepare elaborate meals, ready-to-eat canned soups and stews will feel like gold. These cans are more than just convenience. They're survival in a tin. Packed with protein, vegetables, and carbohydrates, canned soups and stews offer balanced nutrition in one shot. More importantly, you can eat them straight out of the can if you have to. No cooking, no prep. Just calories when you need them most. Here's the scary truth, though. Canned goods don't last forever. Most soups and stews only have a shelf life of 1 to 3 years, though they can stretch beyond that if stored properly. Add to that the ongoing pressures of inflation and can shortages, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Do you think canned soup is cheap now? Wait until the next big disruption clears out store shelves. You'll find out what expensive really means. I've started categorizing my stockpile by variety. Chicken noodle, beef stew, vegetable soup. I've made sure to get options for every mood and need. Trust me, when you've been surviving on plain rice and beans for weeks, the taste of hearty stew will feel like heaven in a bowl. But for that to happen, you need to stock up before the panic buyers beat you to it. 19. Dried fruits. Fresh fruit is one of the first things to vanish in a food crisis. When supply chains falter, when fuel prices make transport unaffordable, when produce is rotting in fields because there's no one to harvest it, there won't be any plump berries, juicy apples or sweet peaches to grab. That's when dried fruits become indispensable. Raisins, cranberries, apricots, prunes, and apples may be smaller in size than their fresh counterparts, but they're packed with natural sugars, nutrients, and even a morale boost. When the days grow harder and harsher, biting into something sweet and chewy can remind you of simpler, better times. It's not just about calories, it's about hope. Most dried fruits only last 6 to 12 months at room temperature, which isn't much. But with proper storage, like vacuum sealing or freezing, you can push that shelf life further, buying yourself precious time. The real challenge is getting enough of it before prices inflate beyond reason. Dried fruits are already on the pricier side compared to staples like rice or flour. But once shortages hit, they'll be a luxury item completely out of reach for most. Stock up while you still can, because a world without sweetness is far grimmer than you realize. 20. Nuts and seeds. When hunger and despair hit hardest, nuts and seeds stand as one of the last great defenses. Packed with healthy fats, protein, and fiber, these small powerhouses offer energy and nutrients that fill a critical survival gap. Almonds, walnuts, peanuts, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, even pumpkin seeds. They're all tiny investments with massive payoffs when other foods disappear. But nuts don't last forever. Shelled varieties, in particular, are at their peak for just 6 to 12 months. After that, they begin to go rancid unless properly stored in airtight, cool conditions. I've started freezing mine whenever possible, although vacuum sealing is another great option. The unsettling truth about nuts and seeds is how fragile their supply really is. Climate change, water shortages, and land depletion have all begun wreaking havoc on nut-growing regions around the globe. The price of quality almonds or walnuts is already insane, and it's only going higher. When the crisis comes, nuts will disappear completely from store shelves, leaving those without a stockpile grasping at straws for high-calorie, nutrient-dense foods. I refuse to be one of the people left scavenging. I'm building out my stock of nuts and seeds now, piece by piece, before the final warning signs appear. Luncheons and clothing and feed. Coffee and tea. Survival isn't just physical, it's mental too. When the world feels like it's collapsing, routines help tether us to a sense of normalcy. For millions of people, coffee and tea are more than just beverages. They're rituals, comforts, and moments of clarity when nothing else makes sense. Have you thought about what happens when there's no caffeine to kickstart your mornings? No calming tea to sip after a sleepless, anxiety-ridden night? The mental hit alone can be devastating. Instant coffee. Black tea, green tea, herbal tea. I've begun stockpiling every variety I can get my hands on. Instant coffee is a survivalist's dream. Long shelf life and no fancy equipment needed. Tea bags are lightweight, compact, and last for years when stored in a cool, dry place. With something as simple as a cup of coffee or tea, you're not just fueling your day, you're nourishing your will to keep going. But here's what keeps me up at night. Coffee and tea are already vulnerable. Crop failures, political instability, and rising global demand mean these luxuries will turn into rarities faster than you think. What's sitting innocently on the store shelf today could become unattainable tomorrow. That's why I'm grabbing every tin, box, and bag I can find now. When the caffeine withdrawals hit and others spiral into irritability and despair, I'll be sipping calm and focus instead. 22. Spices and seasonings. Here's a hard truth most people don't want to admit. Food fatigue is real, and it can kill. When every meal starts to taste the same, your appetite dwindles, even when you desperately need the calories. Without variety, food loses its appeal, and you start skipping meals out of pure monotony. That's why spices and seasonings are crucial. They're not just flavor enhancers, they're survival essentials. Pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, paprika. My spice shelf is a fortress of flavor. These small containers will transform bland beans and rice into meals that actually taste like something. They'll bring brightness to canned vegetables, depth to simple stews, and heat to keep you going on the coldest nights. But there's a catch. Spices lose potency the longer they sit. Ground spices in particular are at their best for about 1 to 3 years. I've been vacuum sealing and storing mine in cool, dark spaces to stretch their lifespan. But nothing lasts forever. This makes keeping a varied stockpile even more vital. Anyone can survive on calories alone for a while. But without something to keep your meals tolerable, that's a slow road to misery and collapse. 23. Bottled water and water purification. People panic about food, but water is where survival begins and ends. Without water, nothing else matters. You can live without food for weeks, but water, 3 days. That's it. And yet, the majority of people still haven't stockpiled this most basic necessity. The way I see it, they're gambling with their lives, hoping they'll somehow have access when things fall apart. Hope isn't a plan. I aim for at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. That's enough for drinking, cooking, and minimal hygiene. But bottled water isn't infinite, and space is limited. That's why water purification tools are non-negotiable. A good water filter, like a Berkey, Sawyer, or Life Straw, will turn undrinkable water into something safe. Bleach, used carefully, can disinfect large amounts of water in seconds. Water purification tablets weigh next to nothing and can save your life in a pinch. The idea of living without clean water scares me more than almost anything. Think about it. Municipal water systems could fail without warning. Hurricanes, floods, or an unstable power grid could taint your tap water overnight. And once the clean, bottled water disappears from stores, the unprepared will have no choice but to drink whatever they can find. You don't want to be that vulnerable. Build your reserves now. 24. Vinegar and pickling supplies. Vinegar is one of those stockpile heroes people don't notice until it's missing. It's cheap, versatile, and critical in a world where fresh food becomes rare. White vinegar, apple cider vinegar, pickling spices, these aren't just nice-to-haves, they're lifesavers. When refrigeration fails, how will you keep food from spoiling? Vinegar, along with salt, gives you the power to pickle and preserve vegetables and fruits before they rot. A stash of vinegar can stretch your fresh produce far beyond its typical shelf life, letting you keep essential vitamins and variety in your diet long after store shelves go bare. And the uses don't stop there. Vinegar cleans. It disinfects. It's a natural cleaner you can rely on when synthetic options run out or inflation makes household products unaffordable.